welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by and checking some of my videos out. If you are new here, please subscribe and join my little community family as we're slowly growing. I would really appreciate it. Today's video I wanted to talk about why don't I buy new clothes for my family, and that is something that I have been doing for a while now, for a few years, but I've never made a video to really mention it too much. So I thought I would do a video kind of just chit-chatty with you guys today and talking about why I don't buy new clothes, except I guess for the exception of like undergarments and swimsuits. That would be kind of my only thing. But why, my personal reasons for it, financial, whatever. So let's get started. If you want to grab a cup of tea or coffee and join me for this video. The past couple of years, as you know, I started staying home and being a stay-at-home mom 2 years ago now, and I really love it. And it actually came from a time because I had been working and I was really sick, and it came to a point in my life where I had to just simplify my life. And a few years ago, that was kind of my word for the year, and I had actually a little plaque that I have hanging up just with the word simplify. I found it actually at the thrift store, and I thought, I know, I really liked it. And that's kind of been my motto now for the past couple of years, and I think it just is becoming part of my life, and something that I've been incorporating into every aspect of my life. And one of those big things is with clothes, because I come from a place where growing up, like, I'm not one of those people where, like, I had, like, you know, a small little, no, I had too much, and I feel like I came as a refugee here. I came from, like, having nothing growing up, really, not, like, a lot of clothing items at all. And when we came here, if any of you are also maybe from immigrant families, refugees, maybe you can relate, but we kind of went through a phase where all of a sudden it was like, hey, we actually have access to things. You can find things for cheaper. There's deals, you know, whatever, thrift stores, Target, and you can find things for cheap, like on clearance and deals. And my mom specifically, I mean, I think I get this from my mom, where I'm a big deal finder, so I can totally appreciate that. That's a big part of who I am now. But we went almost to the access where we had, like, too much stuff. We had, and it's like you couldn't say no to the deal, you know what I mean? And so we had so many shirts and pants and just anything that was like a good deal we ended up getting. And so I kind of grew up with a surplus of clothes, way more than I ever would need. And then in high school and college, I worked at Target in, like, the fitting rooms, soft lines, like where the clothes are. So it was wonderful and terrible at the same time, because I got an employee discount and I would find all the clothes when they, like, just went on clearance. So I went through this whole time of when I would just buy a lot of clothes. And I'm into, like, I love fashion, and not that I'm like a style guru or anything. Like, I'm not coming from a place of here's what you should do because I'm an expert, because I'm not. But I love fashion, I like styling, I like that kind of stuff for myself personally. So I was really into it. It was fun, and I just had, and I couldn't resist, like, oh, this shirt's for $2, this shirt's for $3, like, you should have it. And so then I ended up having I just had so many shirts and so many pants and shorts, everything. And then I kind of just went, I kind of was doing that, but not too much in college. And then I had children. And then, you have your children's clothes and all these things. And people are buying clothes that they also find. And when I finally started staying home and just simplifying my life, and before kind of decluttering, minimalism kind of became popular, I guess, or more talked about now, which I'm kind of glad that it is. I think it's something that's important. I started kind of looking into understanding more about the fashion industry, and because I was really good at finding deals and looking at price tags, I think that was important to me, and it still is to an extent, obviously, but realizing, like, especially clothing, like, why is clothing as cheap as it is? Because I kind of was thinking back to, I started researching some documentaries. I'll have some links down below. There's one especially that I really like on Netflix. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's like The Truth About, I forget, but it talks about the fashion industry specifically, and, like, the effects of fast fashion, and how before, like, years, even like when our grandparents or when our parents were younger, you kind of would have like 2, maybe 3, or like seasons of clothing when you would get new clothing, replenish, and people never really had as much, like, the amount of clothing that we have now, typically. Like, most people, kind of like me, I had a lot of clothing, and way more than, I would need. And just talking about how it's like fast fashion, if you've heard that word, because there's all these trends that are constantly, like, it's like weekly almost, there's a new trend, or a celebrity wears something and all of a sudden it's a new trend, and all of a sudden you see these trends coming out in stores, and then as soon as it began, it's like it's over, and then all of a sudden, that stuff is clearanced out, or like what, kind of start thinking about what happens when the stuff is not sold, like where is it going? And that got me really pondering about thinking, especially when I worked at Target, like I wondered, like, because I knew we weren't selling our clothes, so where are those clothes going? And some things I started realizing, some do go to thrift stores, but even then, like, just learning about the industry, that so many, like, one is the environmental impact, that so many clothes are actually being thrown away to the landfill because there's just such a huge surplus of it, that people are either donating or throwing it away. That it's just, even with donating, you have to realize, like, people think like, well, I'll buy new stuff and then I'll donate the other ones, it's fine. But even with donating, like, a lot of those clothes don't get sold, and then they get thrown away. And there's this huge, like, even global impact of clothes being sent over to, like, other countries. Like, I'll recommend it. It's in the documentary. So if you guys want to see kind of the whole story about it, check it out. And it's just crazy. I thought about it. I was like, wow, like, this is insane. That, like, clothes that, my actions that I'm taking are impacting, like, people all around the world. And just thinking also how wasteful it is, because to even produce jeans or garments, like, the dyes to dye the colors, or even also, like, the human aspect of it, these people that have to make my clothes. And the reason that, oh, hi, yes, that's my necklace. The reason that so many of these companies can get away with such cheap clothing is because they are these people that are, oh, no, that's my, that are being underpaid, to, like, they're being paid pennies a day basically to sew constantly these garments that these companies are making, like, huge amounts of profit on. And so that's why it's so cheap for us. And I think finally realizing, like, instead of just thinking about the deal, and obviously I know, like, I am a stay-at-home mom, like, financially sometimes you struggle, and that's important, but, like, to think about, being able to save for my family, obviously that's a big part of my channel. But starting to switch my thinking of realizing, do I really need all these many things, even if they're a deal? No, I don't. And thinking about, the human side of behind the price tag, because sometimes we just see the store brands, we see the price tags, we see the deals, the colors, all the fun, but we don't really think about where is this coming from. And so that's something that I've really been conscious about the last few years. And so last year I actually did an experiment where I did not buy any clothes, and some people thought I was crazy, and like, oh my gosh, you're, like, not buying any clothes. And at first, I gotta admit, it was kind of challenging. But then it was actually really good, because it made me really to see, like, forced me to see what I really do wear. Because I think I've read somewhere where they say, like, you wear 20% of your clothing 80% of the time. Only really a small amount of your wardrobe that you really wear it constantly. And if you think about it, like, that's so true, because I started to realize I was kind of wearing the same pairs of jeans that were my favorites, or shirts that I really loved more over others. And I started seeing that. And I realized, like, even when I would buy, even when I had bought new ones or gifted, like, hey, I get talk to you, stop. I was still, like, leaning towards particular ones that I preferred more over others, or that made sense more for my lifestyle. So after I did that experiment last year, and then I had my daughter and I had my kids, and their clothes, I started thinking too, even with my kids, like, I was realizing we were leaning towards more a certain type of clothing or a certain type of pants or whatever. And I realized we had all these excess of things that we didn't really need. And so and then I did also read the book of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, as a lot of people, you've probably heard about now, have, but it really did make me think about decluttering, really minimizing things, and so that's kind of what I did this past year. So 2 years ago I did, like, the no shopping, and then this past year I did really decluttering and minimizing things, and it was really eye-opening to me, because I really went with the commitment of I told myself I could buy the clothes this past year, but I told myself that it would have to be secondhand, except for obviously, like, undergarments and, like, swimming suits and stuff like that. And so I was wondering how that would happen, because I did a lot of thrift store shopping, if I didn't know. So what I did was I decluttered a lot of my clothing, things that I was not using, that didn't fit me, that I didn't like, that were stained, whatever, and I got rid of a lot of those things. And I just told myself I didn't want to support companies, or kind of support this system of having to produce more clothing, because if I go to the store and I'm buying these things, I'm kind of adding to that reflex of there's that need or whatever. So I didn't want to add to that circle. I thought, and I know, so I was thinking, what could I do? And so my goal was that I thought, well, I could either like put my money towards like ethically sustainable and ethically produced clothing. That's one option. Or I could just repurchase or get only used clothing. So I looked into the option of purchasing, ethically sustained clothing. There's some really great companies. But what I came to realize was that currently in the position that I'm in and my budget, I cannot afford it. And the reason is because a lot of these clothing are not, $3 a shirt or $5 a shirt. And it makes sense why. Because these companies are actually paying their employees fair wages. They're using eco practices. Their clothing, I think we have to kind of change our mindset that clothing that's cheap, like there's reasons that it's cheap. And I'm not saying that if something's cheap, like it's automatically bad, but I think looking at why is it cheap and where is it coming from? Like, is it actually cheap because it's a sale, but it's a quality and ethically sustained clothing? Most likely not, because a lot of mainstream brands, a lot of mainstream stores, the reason they're that cheap is because they're not paying their employees fair wages and they're not using eco practices for the environment. So looking at that, and so I realized that for me, it was very challenging I loved a lot of these brands, and a lot of them have awesome ideals and practice. They were reusing old clothing to make known, but I just couldn't really afford, for me, like the budget for that. So my next step was that I made the goal that my family and I, that we would just buy or get used clothing. So then the next step came, okay, well, how would I sometimes find those things? Because throughout the year, especially with kids, I was coming up with, oh, I need this for my son, or I need this. And like, I don't want to just run out to Target to get it. What do I do? And so the main thing is I realized like how resourceful in finding ways, and actually it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. So the biggest thing obviously for my, is thrift stores. And I am a fan of thrift stores, because especially if you find a really good one, there's ways to find some thrift stores. And I feel like thrift stores now are becoming way more like, there's a lot better quality items. They're becoming more particular and like picky about what they accept, or what they put out on the floor to sell. And I have found some great items. I actually will be having a thrift store like purchases haul video. That I just purchased a few items for my winter items, and so I'll have that video up shortly. But I have found some great deals and some great quality clothing that I want to give a second chance, second life to that clothing, because instead of sending it to the landfill or running out and spending way more money on like the same item, I'm giving something else a new life. And so I really love that concept. Also, the biggest thing that's been so helpful is actually Facebook groups and swaps. I am part of a group at church, and we have created actually like a mom's swap page on Facebook where people can either swap for free or they post. And this has been a great way to kind of declutter at the same time and even make some of that money back to put towards purchasing things that we need. So I have sold a lot of like clothing that my kids have grown out of that someone else really is in need of, and so I'm able to sell it for really cheap, not super expensive. So I'm giving a deal to someone else, I'm getting money back, and then I'm able to put that towards maybe someone else is selling something else that I really need. Like we had needed some shoes for my son, and so someone was selling shoes for like $2, and they're still in good shape, and I could give them a second home. And it was awesome. Like I have found shoes, I have found so many clothing items for myself too, like as I've been swapping out and discovering what I really like for my body type, what I'm comfortable in, and what I'm more confident in this past year. Like I have found some great swaps and deals on that Facebook page. There's also obviously Facebook Marketplace. I've used that even for selling things around my home, especially baby stuff. So I would recommend checking out local, like if you just search like near you, like swap or garage sale pages online, like that's so great. There's also awesome apps. I will have links below to some, like there's Garage Sale, I believe. It's kind of like a similar concept. You can post things, people can buy them, give them away, whatever. Obviously there's always like Craigslist and things, but honestly, like there's so many great things on Facebook now that you just build and connect. You can even create your own swap, like even if it's you and like 3 of your friends. If you just set up even an event, or even at your house, like, hey guys, let's bring our clothes, jewelry, handbags, whatever, bring that stuff. And if you're someone maybe who's not more like if you're not really comfortable at a thrift store, I know some people aren't, if you want to do that option, like that's amazing. We did that at my church too, like where all of the moms, like we just brought baby clothes and shoes, and then we also did a mom's. It was so fun. It was literally like you would bring stuff and you can take stuff, like it was all free. And I got so many great items out of that I feel like, and it's awesome. It's a night that's fun, and it's, you get to spend time, but you also get new items for yourself and maybe for other people that you may need, but also like it's just really fun, and you're not contributing to like that circle of fast fashion. Like you're giving new life to something else, and so that's something that's been so helpful. So that is what we have been doing, and I gotta say, like, that's something that I'm gonna continue doing, because even though like sometimes I can find, like, yes, maybe I could find like 70% off shirt at Target, I have been now where I'm like, nope, I've kind of been saying no to the deal at times, for clothing wise at least, that I say no because I would rather go and repurchase secondhand or find it from someone else or whatever, because that has been kind of like, that's my go-to response now, is now that I don't see it as a challenge, I see it as something that's really a part of my life. That's really the only way that I try to buy clothes, and I try to keep also a list of what I need for me and my family, and then I refer to that. So that is really wise, because mostly the reasons of why I'm choosing to not buy clothing brand new, and why I really try to shop secondhand or do swaps, is mainly because of I think the human aspect of the human rights of affecting, people are not being paid correctly, and there's not safe conditions for a lot of people who are making this clothing, and companies that are making huge profits out of it. They definitely could afford to pay more, but they choose not to. And so that's a big one. Also, the economic, environmental impact. Just, it's huge. The amounts of water, land, things that are wasted, contaminations of water and land, like I'm not okay with that personally, and so that's a big one too. And also number 3 is also financial, because we constantly trying to spend money on new clothing and new items. Like, I want to save my money for my family, so buying secondhand and swapping and being thrifty really helps with money. Like, what I can get for $30 at a thrift store is amazing, especially on sale days, compared to what I can get like if I go to Target or Walmart or the mall or whatever. Like, for $30, sometimes you can only get like 1 or 2 items, and from a thrift store I can get like 7 or 8 or even more. And so that's also a big one. And so that's why I don't buy new clothing. And so let me know down below what you guys think. I know some people think it's weird, it's crazy. Some people agree with me. And see if that's something that you do or share. If you do that in your family, share down below. I would love to hear your ideas. If you have any, I'm always open to more ideas. So thank you so much for listening to my little rant speech, I guess. I don't know, chit chat. And be on the lookout for my next upcoming video, which will hopefully be my thrift store haul, purchases that I share with you guys that I got for $30, and I got some awesome bargains. So until next time, and thank you for watching this video. Bye.